want you to do me a favor and close your eyes. Imagine an abandoned train station. Its platforms are silent and deserted. The scent of old metal fills your nostrils, and nothing but the buzzing sound of the electric lights fill the excruciating silence around you. What you just pictured probably doesn't actually exist. It sits in an interesting place between reality and fantasy, drawing on real-world elements to create a place strangely real that never actually existed. What you just created is called a liminal space. Liminal spaces, by definition, are in-between places, transitional zones that exist on the cusp of something else, where reality feels different, altered somehow. They're the hushed hallways of schools after dark, the deserted playgrounds bathed in an unsettling afternoon sun, and the long, echoing staircases that seem to lead to nowhere. The very essence of why these spaces give us such a strange and creepy feeling lies in the unnatural absence of anyone that should be there. We expect these spaces to be bustling with activity, the chatter of children in a school hallway, the carefree shrieks of playing on a playground, and the constant rattling of a train along the tracks. Their silence throws them into a state somewhere between comfort and fear, forcing our minds to fill in the blanks about what happened to make these places so empty, and even worse, what kind of things could be roaming around in the dark silence. The absence of people in these places leaves us feeling utterly alone, adrift in a sea of sterile fluorescent lights and echoing emptiness. The endless hallways and rows of empty chairs offer no clear destination, no clues about an exit, and no help from anyone we know at all. But what really makes liminal spaces so terrifying is their uncanny ability to feel familiar. Liminal spaces can often feel like a memory you can't quite place, or a dream you just barely can't remember. The sterile lighting and artificial brightness of these pictures and videos can bring up forgotten childhood memories, or long-forgotten dreams and locations. The never-ending wait for classes to end or school to get out, or the sterile waiting room of an old hospital as you wait to hear important news about a loved one. These memories are often tinged with anxiety or boredom and blend with the unsettling nature of the space to create a disorienting experience that feels somehow both familiar and alien. And it's because of this unique familiarity that liminal spaces have such power over us. They connect with memories that lay deep within our minds and bring a strange wave of nostalgia for a place we've never actually seen. And if you don't believe me yet, I'd like you to take a look at a few of these photos on your screen. Have you been here before? Obviously you know that the answer is you haven't, but somehow it still reminds you of a specific trip, a specific time or place, a specific memory you had. And liminal spaces aren't simply a passive phenomenon. In recent years, they've become a rich source of artistic exploration for many creators online, particularly in photography and video creation. Artists capture the unsettling beauty of these empty spaces, using them as a canvas to explore themes of loneliness, nostalgia, and the passage of time. Often these photographs use a muted color palette, emphasizing the sterile and undisturbed nature of the environment. The camera angles are chosen carefully to create a sense of disorientation, with strange lenses, long vanishing hallways, or distorted perspectives that help draw the viewer deeper into the unsettling emptiness. But in reality, liminal spaces are just the first layer of a much larger internet phenomenon. Built upon this foundation of emptiness are many aesthetics that utilize dreamlike imagery and large, empty spaces to evoke a wide variety of emotions. And as you dive deeper and deeper into the uncanny rabbit hole, you can surprise yourself with just how much this phenomena can be spotted in pop culture and media online as a whole. Take, for example, Silent Hill. Silent Hill is a chilling creation from the team of developers over at Konami. Released in 1999, the game was wildly successful and would later spawn many sequels and even a movie series spin-off. It's a psychological horror journey through a perpetually fog-shrouded, abandoned town. Familiar places become twisted nightmares, amplifying feelings of isolation and dread. And the empty streets, deserted buildings, and shifting reality all tap into our primal fear of loneliness and the unknown. Every empty store and street is a silent reminder that these places can never be restored to what they once were, and that whatever memories were had here can never be revisited. Silent Hill doesn't bombard you with gore. It doesn't want to jump scare you or use cheap tactics to get a quick reaction. It lets the unsettling emptiness seep in, creating a horror experience far more profound than its competitors at the time. Stepping out of your car in Silent Hill is like stepping into a forgotten dream, shrouded in an eternally clinging fog. The town feels less like a place and more like a memory half forgotten, distorted by time and fear. The air is thick with a metallic tang, and only the sound of the rhythmic drip beyond the mist is there to keep you company. The streetlights cast sickly yellow pools of light onto the deserted pavement, highlighting the peeling paint and boarded up windows of once ordinary buildings. Silent Hill's genius lies in its mastery of the unsettling. It doesn't rely on jump scares, and it never once counts on genre tropes or loud bangs. Instead, it weaponizes the power of empty and liminal spaces. The deserted streets stretch endlessly into the fog, each empty storefront a silent scream that it was once filled with average people, just like you. Each darkened doorway a new and unsettling mystery. You are completely alone, in a world that seems to hold its breath, waiting for you to make one wrong move. The familiar and comforting becomes alien and threatening. A schoolyard once filled with the cacophony of children's laughter is now a silent tableau of rusted swings and peeling paint. The library, once a haven of knowledge and old stories, stands locked and forbidding, its windows reflecting only the disorienting image of your own fear. Even the most mundane locations become unsettling reminders of the life that once pulsed here, and the fact that it is now replaced by a chilling and total emptiness. Silent Hill isn't just an average horror game, it's a psychological journey. By traversing these empty spaces, we confront not just the monsters that lurk in the fog, but the darkness that resides within our own fear of loneliness. The town becomes a mirror reflecting our deepest worries, forcing us to confront the total lack of explanation and absence of any escape from the terror. And as the game goes on, you begin to realize that even if you survive all the blood-curdling fights and monsters you find around every corner, you can never leave. You'll never be able to call for help, and even if you manage to beat every terrifying creature that lives here, there is still no hope for you. And in that realization lies the true horror of Silent Hill. LSD Dream Emulator is yet another unsettling game that utilizes liminal spaces to their true potential. Unlike Silent Hill, LSD Dream Emulator doesn't exactly fall into the horror category. Released in 1998, the game is set in an interactive dreamscape, a portal into the nonsensical and surreal landscape of our own subconscious. Born from the unconventional mind of Japanese artist Osamu Sato, LSD Dream Emulator throws out the rulebook of game design entirely. Sato rejected the traditional focus on objectives and goals, and saw the PlayStation as a canvas for a more artistic pursuit. His inspiration came from a very unusual source. A decade-long dream journal kept by an employee at Asmic Ace Entertainment, the game's developer. This dream journal is the main inspiration for the entire game. The game is a world built from fragments of real-life dreams, woven from the true subconscious anxieties, desires, and oddities that flit through our minds during sleep. The result is unlike anything you've ever experienced before. The player finds themselves thrust into a 3D world, rendered in the charmingly low polygon aesthetic of the late 90s. There are no maps, no objectives, and no quest markers. The only guide for this game is your own curiosity, and the desire to delve deeper into the strange and captivating world presented before you. The world of the game itself is divided into separate dreams, each a self-contained story lasting just a few minutes. Just when you find yourself stepping into a bustling city street, you're all of a sudden wading knee-deep through sand on a pristine beach. Turn a corner and you might be confronted with a room filled with giant eyeballs staring right at you. The landscapes shift and morph with an unsettling fluidity, defying the laws of logic and physics. Rows of floating teeth grin maniacally, hallways defy perspective, and staircases lead to nowhere. The textures themselves seem to breathe and undulate with an unsettling form of life, shifting and warping as you move through the dreamscape. It's difficult to even call this a game, because as fun as it is to experience, it has no plot, no connections, no meaningful theme, and no real story. It is truly more akin to a dream than anything else. And beneath the surface of whimsical weirdness lies a hint of the unsettling. As you explore, you might encounter a mysterious figure, a tall gray man who appears sporadically throughout the dreams. Interacting with him has consequences. The playful dreamscape gives way to the Violence District, a dark and oppressive city filled with a sense of dread and unease. Buildings loom large, casting long shadows, and the air is thick with an unsettling silence. Here, the dreamscape takes a turn for the nightmarish, and what was once a peaceful exploration becomes something ominous. LSD Dream Emulator isn't really everyone's idea of a good time. There are no traditional goals or challenges to overcome, no rewards or achievements to unlock, and the game is simple to the point of being almost non-existent. Some might find the constant state of disorientation frustrating or uneasy, but for those open to its truly unique experience, LSD Dream Emulator offers a captivating and unnerving journey into the depths of the human mind. During this video, we've talked quite a lot about the unnerving feelings that liminal spaces can bring up, but they don't always create feelings of fear. Sometimes, these places can bring odd feelings of joy or longing for a childhood memory. They can make us feel like we want to visit these places, to take a well-deserved vacation, to be completely alone outside of time and space, to be completely free of responsibilities, to simply disappear for a minute. Take a look at this picture. It's strangely comforting, right? And even though it's made of obscure architecture and completely empty, it looks somehow serene and relaxing. And this, to me, this odd feeling of unexplainable comfort and this strange desire to temporarily disappear is what really makes liminal spaces so interesting. Thank you all for being here to explore this topic with me. For a long time now, liminal spaces have been a horror genre favorite of mine, and it was a pleasure to be able to share that with all of you today. And as always, until next time, good luck sleeping.